What's up YouTube, it's Zandar the Legend here today with another deck tech for Black Red Dragons and Oath of the Gatewatch. Currently a tier 1 deck in the meta, doing really good at some of the tournaments. So let's go straight into it so you can see if this is a deck you would like to build and play. And it is a very fun deck. I do prefer this deck, and it's not because I'm a huge fan of dragons either. 4 Hangerback Walkers. This is actually one of my favorite cards. This is one of my speculation cards from a long time ago, but if you've been a follower of the channel. Made a lot of money off this card, really solid. It's back down to a reasonable price range now. It's not sitting at the $30 it was for a while. Allows us to make a blocker for ground, get us some air tokens later if they can remove it. Hangerback Walker is just a solid card. I think it'll continue to be a solid card all the way until it rotates out. 4 Thopter Engineers. For 2 uncolored and a red, we get a 1/3 Human Artificer. You get a Thopter with it as well, so 1/1 flying Thopter token, but all artifact creatures we control have haste. Big deal with the walker, so we can immediately tap and put a thing on a counter. My goodness, man. A counter on the walker the turn it comes out to give it survivability or to let it block that turn and tap, which an opponent might not suspect. Also just lets our Thopters swing in. 3 Flamewake Phoenixes. These guys are kind of like they're the peon champions of the game. For 3 mana, you get a 2/2 flyer with haste, and it attacks every single turn if able, and it comes back out of the graveyard for just 1 red if you have a creature with power 4 or more. This is going to get in a good 2 to 6 points of damage, which will kind of push us over the rest of the way. 2 Pia and Kira Nalars, really solid card, 2 uncolored, double red for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 1/1 colorless Thopter creature tokens with haste if you got a Thopter Engineer, so all that synergy going on. And more importantly, for 2 and a red, you can sacrifice an artifact, and it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So if they have too much stuff to get through, we can do the couple final points of damage to the player itself, or we can just remove some annoying threats for the 2 damage. 4 Thunderback Regents, great card. I have the promo of this card, absolutely love this card. 2 uncolored, double red for a 4/4 flyer. If it becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, it deals 3 damage to that player. It's kind of like an Eidolon of Great Revel, but on steroids and flying. A little more mana to get out, but Thunderbreak's really great card. Don't forget get your triggers with this card. If you miss triggers with this, that's probably why you're losing games. Now, a lot of Black Red Dragon decks you'll see run a 4 of Kolaghan's the Storm's Fury. I choose a 3 of. The reason for that is I have a great other dragon called Kolaghan over here. But first, he is a 5 mana, 4/5 flyer, but you can also dash him out for the same 5 mana, which is what you're typically going to do. And for every dragon that's attacking that turn, your creatures get +1/+0. Once again, don't miss your counters. If you got Thunderbreak Regents, if you have a Thunderbreak Regent, dash in a Kolaghan, everything's getting +2/+0 that turn. Don't forget that and miss that trigger to lose games. Sometimes it's better just to let it resolve onto the battlefield. Typically though, you're going to dash it for the flying in with the haste and win the game. I do run a 1 of Dragon Lord Kolaghan. He's 6 mana, so he's a little higher at the very top of our curve, but he's a 6/5 flying hasted dragon. So that's something to take very seriously. Other creatures you control have haste, kinda okay. Typically we're going to be playing him for a game win anyways, and we should be winning by a turn 1 or 2 after that. The biggest reason we play Dragon Lord Kolaghan is his ability, which I've always thought was underrated. Whenever an opponent casts a creature or planeswalker spell with the same name as a card in their graveyard, they lose 10 life. Now I'm telling you what, by turn 6 they're already down 10 life, so it really limits what they can play. They're not going to be able to play, if you watch any of our other deck tech reviews, pretty much you're running a 3 of or 4 of in this series. So same thing, if they already have a Thunderback Regent in their graveyard, they can't play another one because it's going to kill them. Don't miss your trigger on this, and it'll win you a game every time if the opponent doesn't recognize what's going on. As far as our spell package, removal package, 2 Fiery Impulses. This is typically most of the time 2 damage. It's just to get rid of those annoying Jaces and some other cards. We can play it for 3 every once in a while if we had a Duress or a Draconic Roar and played some other removal before it. 2 Duresses. This is just great when we need to see our opponent's hand, see what's going on, and get rid of a non-creature, non-land card from their hand. 4 Draconic Roars. This is to get rid of those annoying Mantis Riders, Jaces, pretty much anything. Typically you want to save this for when you have a dragon in hand though, or control a dragon, so you can get that extra 3 points of damage to your opponent. Don't miss it or play it early unless you really need it. A Jace is a great time to get it off the field, but you might want to let something else resolve for a bit to see if you draw into a dragon. Grasp of Darkness, however, you play it anytime you get the chance. It deals with anything that's 4 toughness Or if you just need to make sure one of your creatures wins for the turn, it can give it -4 power, -4 toughness, and you can strike through if it's something big like a siege rhino or something like that. 2 murderous cuts. We got just enough delve going on to make murderous cut good. Not good enough for a 4 of or even a 3 of though. It just destroys target creature for 5 mana, which 4 of it can be delved. To feed that delve package and the mana base for this entire deck, we have 4 Wooded Foothills and 4 Bloodstained Mires. That's it for the fetch lands. Not too expensive. Bloodstained Mires are pretty cheap. Wooded Foothills, though, they're getting up there right now. But all this will be dropping at rotation, which typically, if you're playing this at rotation, we're not going to be doing too good because we're going to lose a lot of the mana base. We're not losing any of the creatures, though, which is nice. Keeping every single removal package except for the Murderous Cuts. We're just losing the fetch lands. We're going to be able to keep the Haven of the Spirit Dragons, a 3 of, and 4 Smoldering Marshes, which allows us to get mana fixing. We run 5 Swamps and 6 Mountains, and that's it for the main board in Black-Red Dragons. We'll be right back with the sideboard. Now back with the sideboard, we got 4 Self-Inflicted Wounds. Great creature removal for green or white. So I don't know how good this will be after Shadows is released, but right now, sacrifice creature and lose 2 life, good for me. 4 Transgress the Minds. It has Devoid, not that it really matters for us, but for 2 mana, target player reveals his or her hand. You choose a card from it with converted mana cost 3 or greater and exile that card. Great card if your opponent's playing big Eldrazi's, big dragons, anything with 3 mana or greater. So really, really good to get rid of. Gets rid of Collected Company. Really solid card. Transgress the Mind's really good. 2 Kolaghan's Command. As I always say, if it's good enough for Modern, it's good enough for Standard. Kolaghan's Command is just that. For 3 mana, we can choose to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Target player discards a card, destroy target artifact, or deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Gives us a little more removal for creatures. Lets us do some discarding. If they have artifacts, which really doesn't tend to be a thing right now. I guess against my Eldrazi deck, though, it'd be good to get rid of some Ghostfire Blades as well. There's our extra Kolaghan Storm's Fury if we need to bring him in, just in case we need a bigger chance to hit him for the win. 2 Kozilek's Return. This is great for eliminating token decks. This will probably be better once Shadows comes out because gosh knows we're going to see a ton of zombies running around. Speaking of zombies, we got Kelthus, the Trader of Get. He's got some lifelink. He's just another really good option to bring in. That's kind of it about that. You know, if they have a bunch of creatures and if they die, you get to put a 2/2 black zombie token onto the battlefield, and then you can sacrifice this as well to put counters on Kelthus. The last card we have in the sideboard here is Ob Nixilis Reignited. 5 mana, it's just more removal, it's more card draw. Ob's really good, I'm surprised he's as low as he is. And honestly, the most critical part to our sideboard is the Thopters. Don't miss out on your critical piece, and I hope you guys enjoy playing Black-Red Dragons at your local game store. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know how you like this deck tech, and I'll keep doing those. The deck tech videos do really good, so I appreciate any feedback you can give.